Okay, so here we're finally at it. This is the Hasbro Marvel Legends Series Disney Plus Wave 3 Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure Wave video for the Build-A-Figure Infinity Ultron. So I just kind of watched through a little bit of the last two episodes of Season 1 of What If to check out Infinity Ultron, to see how badly sized is this Infinity Ultron. And it's hard to say because at some points he's up against the Watcher, and the Watcher is massive, and he's almost the same size as the Watcher. Look how ridiculously big the Watcher is. And then other times in the final episode, the finale, when he's up against the Guardians of the Multiverse, he's only slightly taller than Peggy Carter. So, Captain Carter, excuse me. So, it's hard to say how the scaling really is. But there's a couple of things that we're going to check out. I don't really care for the cape. The cape was more so that the What If Ultron had one episode where he wore the cape. But in like the finale, he didn't really have the cape in a lot of those battle scenes. So it's nice that the cape is actually removable, because I don't really prefer the cape. I am going to check out to see if Vision's head sculpt will fit on there, because at one time he kind of, lifts off the helmet and he just has the Vision head sculpt on there. So we will see if that works. And then what I'm also going to do, because I've completely forgot about this, now that I have so many damn Killmonger figures, I can have one with my What If figures, even if this has the live action aesthetic versus the What If, the animated aesthetic that the other figures do have. And I will see if this Killmonger head sculpt will actually fit onto the Build-A-Figure to test that out, because he does, take the stones and kind of suits up together for it. So we'll see if all of that stuff really works together. So for now, let's actually build the Infinity Ultron, and we'll see how he looks. Man, he's just so undersized in my hand, but we'll have to see. So here we have the right leg. It actually has an R on it, so I know that it is the right leg, because it's hard to tell since it's a robot. He doesn't have like toes for me to know which foot is which. There is an L on this one, so we're gonna pop that on there. Yeah, man, he's small. Whoops, and I just lost a bunch of pieces. He's small. He's going to look great, but he is small. Like small. So here we have the right arm and these shoulders. How the hell? So that, like, the peg hole for the arm is all underneath this big ass shoulder armor piece. How the hell? How does that work? The shoulder doesn't really move up. Am I missing something? This is an odd design. You have to force it in there? Yeah, kinda. Okay, so we pop that in there. That is strange. Very, very strange. So I guess it lifts up a little bit, but man, that's just really weird. So it just kind of pops in there. You can see he got some chicken legs on there. Let's do his weapon. So this is just going to pour it in. This feels, again, very rubbery. And it felt like I was going to break this the whole time. Look how wide it is. That's insane. And then we have the head, and we're going to pop this on the Build-A-Figure. And then, bam, we have Infinity Ultron. And again, he looks amazing. He looks fantastic. He is just super small. Man, I didn't notice at Comic-Con. Somebody had said, are you disappointed with it? I'm like, no, it looks fantastic. Well, what about the size? I'm like, he looks all right. But he was kind of spaced out with these figures and not with any of the other What Ifs. And at the time, I didn't really think about it, because I didn't, I watched What If and I liked it, but it wasn't the greatest. Like, I didn't watch it multiple times or anything. Any of the other shows, I've watched every episode like multiple times, but What If was one and done. I didn't care that much. So the size of him just didn't really hit me until, recently, where people were showing it and stuff. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But let's get in for a closer look at Infinity Ultron, and then we'll take a look at, the what if, not all the what if figures, because there's so many what if figures, like Zombie Hunter, Spider-Man that I forgot, the Hydra Stomper that I forgot. How the hell did I forget about that? Doctor Strange Supreme. I will have the Guardians of the Multiverse figures minus Thor and minus Gamora, but we know that Gamora is coming because that is the one and only MCU figure that they revealed during PulseCon. So I will show some comparisons and some of those things. So let's just first get in for a closer look at Infinity Ultron. Okay, so to get this out of the way, we have his weapon. And this thing is ridiculous. It's so rubbery and flimsy and flexible and pliable. It's just bad. That, and it's crazy, like insane tall. It's nuts. And then on top of that, his grip hand doesn't actually grip it very well, like at all. It's bad. Like, he can have it if you're doing this kind of thing, but then it's top heavy. So it wants to topple over, and then you can't hold it this way because look how long that is. It wouldn't work. It's just difficult. Now, is it pretty accurate to the animated series? Yeah, not bad. They have a little bit of paint in here just to kind of show some darker color to it because, you know, in the animated series you see some cell shading look to it. So they added that there, and then right here along the inside there. But it's kind of useless. I mean, it's so flimsy and stuff. It's just going to bow with its own weight, so it's not going to work out so well. But here, Infinity Ultron, again, he looks pretty good, but he's really, really small. So let's get in for the better looks of it. Okay, so looking at the head sculpt looks pretty good. You could clearly see the Vision partial face in there. It would have been nice to get a couple of different head sculpts or a working mask that actually would open up to reveal the full Vision head. Alternate head probably would have been the better way to go. If they made this guy bigger, maybe that's something they could have done and figured out in the engineering, but as of now, we just have the one head sculpt, and it looks pretty good. We get some gold paint in here, some of this trim around the Infinity Stones, and those all look pretty good. A little bit of gold paint there, gold paint along his hip, on his hand and the forearm there, a little bit on his back, on the arm as well, and then a little bit around the knees and the feet, even on the bottom of the feet. Check that out. So the sculpt of it looks really nice. Not a whole lot of sculpted detail because, again, it's an animated series, so they didn't do a whole lot of the detail in there. We get some marbleization. Again, that's kind of the plastic fill lines of the molds. That's how that kind of comes about. It's not terrible. It looks like it's just kind of a little bit in the hip for mine, so no real concerns there. I guess a little bit on that forearm piece. But he's got these large shoulder pieces, and then he has these back pieces where the cape comes. A little bit of gold trim on the cape. On the inside, we actually get kind of some shading. It looks like cell shading type stuff on the inside, and then we have the gold line. Now, the cape is removable. For the rest of this video, I'm actually going to have the cape off because actually in that final scene or that final episode, he doesn't really have the cape. It's actually just more, you know, just Ultron. So I'm going to remove the cape so you can just kind of lift it up to get out of these spikes, and these aren't really hard plastic. They're very soft. And then you just lift the cape and take it off. It's easy, so it doesn't really snap onto anything or clip into anything. It just kind of goes around these pieces, and then it can kind of plug in the back there. But hey, I'm going to do without, and we have just the Infinity Ultron, and that looks pretty good there because that's how he looked in the final episode, so that works out quite well. Now let's check out his articulation. Okay, so Ultron, he can look down that much. He can look up that much. The head is on a disc hinge ball joint, so that is good. Full rotation on that head in there. Not really a whole lot of pivot going on. The shoulders, it's going to be kind of weird. You can actually work the shoulder. So when you work the arm out, the shoulder pad moves up with it. It's just that, you know, when first putting on the Build-A-Figure piece, it didn't seem like it would move, but it does actually really move with it there. The tricky thing, if you wanted to do a full rotation, that's really going to get in the way, so just kind of be aware of that. We have an upper bicep swivel in there. We have pinless joints on this guy, so double pinless elbow. You get that much bend there. That looks really good. Wrists swivel, and they do hinge, standard horizontal hinge. We just have the open hand for the left, and then the gripping hand for the right. Doesn't really grip for shit. And then we have a diaphragm joint, so Let's see, Infinity Ultron, he can pivot to his left that much, not a real large amount. He can pivot to his right that much. Going back a little bit, coming forward is probably going to be hardly anything, and it is hardly anything at all, because Hasbro just has not figured that one quite out. So because his body is more wide than anything, the swivel, you don't get the most range of motion there. So you get that much, but you're not... You could probably force him to turn around all the way. I would probably steer clear of that. Legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward that high, not real high. Actually does go back a little bit. We get the upper thigh cut in there where the leg connects. Solid double jointed knee like so. That looks really nice. We get that knee pad there. Looks really good. There's no calf swivel or anything like that on this guy, but his foot hinges all the way down. You get some great hinge up. Ankle pivot and peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So decent articulation for a gigantic robot. But now let's see some side-by-side comparisons. And the first ones that we are going to do are going to be some of the live action stuff. And that's when we'll get into the animation after. Okay, so here's an insane side-by-side. Look at this Age of Ultron, Ultron Prime. He's massive. Great size to him. Infinity Ultron, as you can see, was like, oh shit, and that's not a whole lot. I mean, to be fair, you know, you have Vision, and Vision collects the Infinity Stones and kind of creates the suit around him. And so it should be kind of this size, and then you just have a little bit bigger because of the added on vibranium that he brings to create the suit. But it's really weird kind of how it is. And I think even in animated... in the show, they didn't quite keep the same scale to him throughout the 2 episodes. So it's really kind of weird. What I would love to see is for Hasbro to release some Ultron Sentries. You know, we got some broken pieces with the Quicksilver figure, which was cool, but I'd love to see an actual Ultron Sentry figures get made from Avengers Age of Ultron. And now it could be, you know, What If, or even like the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness versions. That would all be pretty cool. But this is kind of a crazy size difference. Okay, so for a full-on Guardians of the Multiverse, we really need a Thor. We have like the Thor, the Dark World Thor, but he's got the beard on there. We don't have a beardless Thor head sculpt that we can use, unfortunately, to have for that. I truly hope they don't release that version of Thor. You can just fudge it with a different Thor figure. But we know that the Gamora figure is going to be coming. She's in like the Thanos armor and has the Thanos sword, the blade, and then we'll have kind of a full Guardians of the Multiverse. You know, the Killmonger figure, no animated version, which just kind of have to stick with the live action. But we have them all here together. Now, in the fighting and everything was moving so quick, and there was nothing to really stop and show the size difference between the two. But one of the ones that I really picked up on was the Infinity Ultron and Captain Carter, and how they looked side by side in some of the fighting. Now, this is not super far off. Definitely he's too short, even compared to Captain Carter, but it's not as far off as I kind of had thought before I had pieced them together, before I had rewatched the parts of the episode, and then actually having these figures together. Still small, but not as bad. But when you look at something crazy like this is insane, because in the penultimate episode, What If Ultron won, these two are fighting, and they're essentially the same size. I mean, Watcher, I think, is still a little bit bigger, but this isn't even close. Like, this is crazy, the size difference. And I think the Watcher figure was still actually undersized. So maybe the Watcher scale was really all off on the episodes. You know, the same for the Ultron. It's just kind of a little bit all over the place, and it was just kind of hard to tell how that was all really supposed to go, if that makes sense. It's just really weird. But you guys let me know, what do you think of the scale? What do you think is accurate? Or do you think it's undersized? Or how badly undersized do you think it is? I think it's pretty bad. But let's check out Ultron with some head swaps. You know what? This head pops on there. It's loose and it wobbles around. it'll stay though, as you can see I'm supporting the weight just by holding the head, so it does pop on there, and that actually kind of works. That's how it looked in the show, and that's kind of how that episode finished off. But yeah, that's definitely doable if this is what you wanted to do with your Infinity Ultron. And you know what, another thing to keep in mind is that, you know, at the end it's still Killmonger, just with the added vibranium suit around him, so it shouldn't be like an insane massive size, right? So this could actually really work like that. And this one as well. This head looks a little bit small on there, but it kind of works, and it pops on there, and it's not like too loose or anything like the Killmonger head sculpt, so that this actually works out really well. So you can have like the full-on Vision look to it, to where he, you know, open that masked helmet type deal off, and you kind of see the Vision's look on there, and that actually works out quite well. It, again, does look small, but you know, that actually really works. Okay, so here is the entire Infinity Ultron wave, the Disney Plus Wave 3. So I'm looking at all the figures. I'm curious at what you guys think of the entire wave and how you would rank it. If I were to look at the ranking, I would definitely go in this order. So Moon Knight being my favorite, then She-Hulk, then Clint, Kate, Ms. Marvel, Mr. Knight, and then Sharon Carter at the end because she sucks. The action figure does. The actress is actually pretty great. And then if I include the Build-A-Figure, who... the size, just, man, the size really throws me off. I'd probably put him after She-Hulk, before Clint Barton. I would probably look at it in this order if I were to rank. If Ultron were bigger, I think it would probably work out differently, and I would like him and enjoy him more. At the same time, it's a what if figure, and we have so many what if figures. And you know, the first time we got some of the what if ones, like Heist Nebula, well, what the hell was the point of that? Like, that one, she had very little importance to the episode in the grand scheme of things. You know, we got the Star-Lord T'Challa. That one makes sense from that episode. The Hydra Stomper, really cool, even though I kind of hate that figure. Captain Carter was a must. Strange Supreme was the best episode, so of course we need him. We got him. It's awesome. Zombie Hunter Spider-Man, I'm biased towards Spider-Man, so of course he's great. Zombie Captain America is a fantastic figure. So there are some good ones, but it's just, I think maybe it's just the Heist Nebula that really bothers me. And then we got more zombies coming though, so like Zombie Iron Man, Zombie Scarlet Witch, they're cool. And you know, Scarlet Witch had a moment with Infinity Ultron in that finale, but those ones aren't at the level of Zombie Captain America. Yeah, there's some adjustments and some new tooling done to that Iron Man and that Zombie Scarlet Witch that it really didn't really pay attention to when they were first announced. So that's cool, but I mean, do we need those zombies if they're not going to be like super zombified? I don't know. I'm probably just going on a rant and thinking out loud with it, but I don't want any more what if figures. And we know that there's going to be more because we got the Gamora coming, those zombies. We got the Howard the Duck with the Scott Lang head from the Zombies episode. Yes, Zombies will be getting its own show, so okay. I would expect a bunch more figures there. What If Season 2, whenever that comes, probably going to get a bunch of damn What If figures from that too. And, you know, I'm happy to get any MCU representation, but I would like more live action than the animated stuff. But you guys let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of these Disney Plus figures, the shows, the live action, the animated, what if? Let me know all of that in the comments below. Your thoughts on this Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure. Looks great, undersized, but again, he still really looks great. Even though his weapon, I think, sucks with the material they use. A harder plastic would have been a lot better. But again, you guys let me know all in the comments below. If you guys are interested in joining the MCU Collective and becoming a channel member, hit that join button. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.